The massive ship floated in the darkness of space, its metal hull gleaming under distant starlight. Inside the war room, Commander Taeyang stood before a holographic display showing a small blue planet, Earth. The third world from its sun, home to billions of primitive creatures who called themselves humans. Taeyang smiled as he studied the data. The humans had barely left their own planet. They had a few satellites, some space stations, and primitive rockets that could barely reach their own moon. Their weapons were laughable compared to Vrelian technology. Nuclear bombs that could destroy cities, but nothing that could threaten a shield-protected starship. The invasion will be simple, Taeyang said to his officers gathered around the table. 3 days, perhaps 4. They will surrender when they see our fleet. The other Vrelians nodded in agreement. They had conquered 17 worlds in the past century. Earth would be number 18. Its resources were valuable, its location strategic. The humans would become workers in the Vrelian Empire, grateful to serve a superior species. Admiral Dongmin, the fleet commander, walked into the room. He was old by Vrelian standards, his scales showing signs of age, but his eyes were sharp and his mind sharper. He had led every successful invasion in recent memory. Is the fleet ready? Dongmin asked. 200 ships, fully armed and ready to jump, Taeyang replied. We can leave within the hour. Before Dongmin could respond, the door opened again. A strange figure entered, not a Vrelian but something else entirely. The creature was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. It was Ambassador Kiran of the Thessian Concordat, a neutral species that observed conflicts, but never participated. Admiral Dongmin, Kiran said, his voice carrying an unusual urgency. I must speak with you immediately. It concerns your planned invasion of Earth. Dongmin frowned. How do you know about that? Our plans are classified. We Thessians know many things, Kiran replied. And I am here to deliver a warning. You must not attack the humans. The room fell silent. Several Vrelian officers exchanged confused glances. Taeyang laughed, breaking the tension. Ambassador, with respect, the humans are barely capable of spaceflight. They pose no threat to us. Kiran turned his strange eyes toward Taeyang. That is what 3 other species believed. The Kalthari thought the same in the year humans called 1200. The Nexians made the same mistake in 1600. The Voreth tried to conquer Earth in 1945. Tell me, Admiral, have you heard of any of these species? Dongmin's expression changed slightly. I have not. Exactly, Kiran said quietly. They no longer exist. All 3 civilizations are gone, wiped from the galaxy, within decades of attacking Earth. The humans do not fight like we do. They do not fight for territory or honor. They fight until their enemy ceases to exist. Captain Ji Woo, the intelligence officer, stepped forward. She was younger than most of the command staff, but she had earned her position through careful analysis and attention to detail that others missed. Ambassador Kiran, Ji Woo said carefully, are you suggesting that humans destroyed 3 separate spacefaring civilizations? That seems impossible. Our scans show they have limited technology. Limited now, Kiran replied. But humans adapt. They learn. They never stop, never forget, and never forgive threats to their homeworld. I have studied them for many years. Their history is filled with wars that lasted decades, conflicts they refused to abandon even when victory seemed impossible. They have a word for it: persistence, and it makes them the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. Admiral Dongmin listened carefully. Unlike some of his officers, he did not dismiss Kiran's words immediately. He had learned long ago that warnings from the Thessians were rarely wrong. Captain Ji Woo, Dongmin ordered, investigate these claims. I want full reports on the Kalthari, Nexians, and Voreth. Find out what happened to them. Yes, sir, Jiwoo replied, already thinking about where to begin her research. Admiral, surely you cannot be taking this seriously, Taeyang protested. The humans are primitives. Look at their weapons, their ships. We could destroy their entire civilization from orbit in a matter of hours. That is exactly what the others thought, Kiran said sadly. The Vorath did destroy many of their cities. They killed millions of humans in a single day. And the humans never stopped hunting them. Not until every last Vorath was dead. The ambassador moved toward the door, then paused. I have delivered my warning. What you do with it is your choice. But know this. If you attack Earth, you will regret it. The humans will never let you escape. After Kiran left, the room erupted in discussion. Some officers dismissed the warning as superstition. Others argued for caution. Taeyang insisted that the Thessian was trying to manipulate them for some unknown political reason. Admiral Dongmin remained silent, watching the hologram of Earth slowly rotating before him. The blue planet looked so peaceful, so vulnerable. Could such a world really be dangerous? Over the next 3 days, Captain Jiwoo worked without rest. She searched through old galactic archives, piecing together fragments of information. The Kalthari had indeed existed, a powerful empire that controlled 12 star systems. Their records ended abruptly in 1250, with their final transmissions mentioning the primitives who refused to die. The Nexians disappeared similarly in 1640, their last message warning others to avoid the third planet. The Vorath were the most recent, a brutal species that had terrorized the galaxy. Their civilization collapsed entirely by 1970, only 25 years after attacking Earth. Jiwoo presented her findings to the Admiral. Sir, I cannot prove the humans destroyed these civilizations, but the pattern is undeniable. All 3 attacked Earth, and all 3 vanished shortly after. Dongmin studied the reports for a long time. Finally, he closed the files and stood up. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. We invade as planned, but sir. Is circumstantial? Dongmin interrupted. We cannot abandon our mission based on coincidence and the word of an outsider. The Vrelian Empire does not run from shadows and old stories. We attack in 6 hours. Captain Jiwoo saluted, though her face showed clear doubt. As she left the war room, she could not shake Ambassador Kiran's final words from her mind. The humans will never let you escape. She hoped, for everyone's sake, that the Thessian was wrong. The Vrelian fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of metal and fire. 200 warships materialized near Earth's moon, their weapons charged and shields glowing with power. On board the flagship, Admiral Dongmin watched the blue planet on his screen with satisfaction. The humans had surely detected them by now. Fear would be spreading across their world. Open all communication channels, Dongmin commanded. Broadcast on every frequency the humans use. A technician worked quickly, and within moments, the Admiral's face was being transmitted to every radio, television, and computer on Earth. Dongmin spoke clearly, his words translated by the ship's computers into dozens of human languages. People of Earth, I am Admiral Dongmin of the Vrelian Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender immediately, and your people will be treated fairly. Resist, and your cities will burn. You have 1 hour to respond. The Admiral cut the transmission and sat back in his command chair. Around him, his officers monitored the human response. Radio chatter exploded across the planet as humans tried to understand what was happening. Their military forces scrambled, but their primitive weapons could not reach the fleet. Captain Jiwoo stood at her console, watching the data streams carefully. Something felt wrong. The humans were afraid. Yes, but there was something else in their transmissions. Not panic, not desperation, something harder to identify. Admiral, we are receiving a response, the communications officer announced. Put it on screen, Dongmin ordered. A human appeared on the display. He wore a military uniform decorated with symbols of rank. His face was calm, almost unnervingly so. The nameplate on his uniform read, Colonel Hyun-soo. Unsi. Admiral Dong-min, the human said in clear, measured tones. We have received your message and reviewed your demands. The answer is no. Leave our system immediately, or face the consequences. The Vrelian officers stared at the screen in stunned silence. Then, several of them started laughing. Tae-yang shook his head in disbelief. Did that primitive just threaten us? An officer asked between laughs. But Admiral Dong-min was not laughing. He studied the human colonel's face carefully. There was no fear there. No hesitation. Just cold certainty. Admiral, your hour is up. Hyun-soo continued. This is your final warning. Leave now. Dong-min leaned forward. You cannot be serious. You have no weapons that can reach us. Your civilization is at our mercy. You have made your choice, Hyun-soo replied. The screen went dark. Admiral Dong-min felt a flash of anger. These primitives needed to learn their place. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their space station, the large one where humans live and work. Destroy it. Sir? Ji-woo said sharply. That station has civilians on board. Scientists and researchers who pose no military threat. They need to understand we are serious, Dong-min said coldly. Fire. A beam of purple energy lanced from the flagship, crossing the distance to the International Space Station in seconds. The station exploded in a brilliant flash, debris spreading in all directions. 47 humans died instantly, their bodies vaporized or frozen in the vacuum of space. Now, Dong-min said. They will, Admiral. The communications officer interrupted. Earth has gone silent. All transmissions have stopped. Ji-woo checked her instruments. The human was right. Every radio signal, every broadcast, every communication from Earth had ceased. The planet had gone completely dark. They are afraid, Tae-yang said confidently. They realize they cannot fight us. But 3 hours passed, and still nothing came from Earth. No surrender. No pleas for mercy. Just silence. Ji-woo found this more disturbing than any message. What were the humans doing down there? Finally, Earth's communications came back online. But instead of surrender, every government on the planet broadcast the same message simultaneously. It was simple and direct. The United Nations of Earth hereby declares a state of total war against the Vrelian Empire. All military and civilian resources are now directed toward the defense of humanity and the destruction of the invaders. We will accept no terms. We will negotiate no peace. This ends when you are gone. The message was signed by every world leader on Earth. Hundreds of signatures from hundreds of nations, all united in a single purpose. Fools, Dong-min muttered. Show them the price of defiance. Target their largest cities, Beijing, Moscow, Sydney. Destroy them, Admiral. That will kill millions, Ji-woo protested. Then let millions die, Dong-min snapped. They chose this fate. Fire all weapons. The fleet opened fire on Earth. Beams of energy struck the planet's surface, and entire cities vanished in mushroom clouds of fire and ash. Beijing was erased in seconds. Its 20 million inhabitants turned to vapor. Moscow followed, then Sydney. The bombardment continued for 10 minutes. When it ended, 40 million humans were dead. Their cities were craters of molten glass. Smoke rose into the atmosphere, darkening the sky. Surely now they surrender, an officer whispered. But the response from Earth was not surrender. It came from Colonel Hyun-soo again, his face covered in dust and blood, speaking from what looked like an underground bunker. You should have left, he said simply. Admiral, I am detecting movement on the far side of Earth's moon, Ji-woo said urgently. Multiple objects launching toward our position. Known. Missiles, Tae-yang said, checking his console. Primitive nuclear warheads. Our shields will stop them easily. But he was wrong. The missiles were not primitive. They moved faster than expected, and there were many more than Jiwoo had initially detected. 30 nuclear-tipped weapons struck the Vrelian formation before the shields could adapt to their attack pattern. The explosions were enormous. Space lit up with atomic fire. When the light faded, 12 Vrelian ships were destroyed, and another 20 were damaged. Where did those come from? Dongmin demanded. A hidden base on the lunar far side, Jiwoo reported, her voice shaken. Major Bo-Ra appears to be commanding it. They must have been building it for months. Maybe years. That is impossible, Taeyang said. Our intelligence showed no such base. The humans hid it from us, Jiwoo replied. More missiles launched from Earth itself, forcing the Vrelian fleet to maneuver defensively. Human fighter craft, crude but numerous, swarmed from underground hangars. They could not penetrate Vrelian shields, but they kept coming anyway. Pilots ramming their ships into Vrelian vessels when their weapons failed. Admiral Dongmin watched in growing discomfort as the humans threw themselves at his fleet with suicidal determination. They could not win. The mathematics made victory impossible, but they fought anyway, sacrificing dozens of ships just to destroy one of his. Pull the fleet back, Dongmin ordered. We regroup at the Kuiper Belt staging area. Sir, we are retreating? Taeyang asked in shock. We are regrouping, Dongmin corrected. We need to assess human capabilities more carefully. Move the fleet now. As the Vrelian ships pulled away from Earth, one final message was broadcast from the planet. It came from a voice none of them had heard before, a woman who identified herself as Admiral Sung-hee of the United Nations Space Command. Run far and run fast, Admiral Dongmin, she said. But understand this. We know your ships now. We have studied your weapons. And we are coming for you. There is nowhere in this galaxy you can hide. We will find you. We will find all of you. The Vrelian fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. In the war room, Captain Jiwoo looked at the casualty reports. 12 ships destroyed, 20 damaged, against an enemy that should not have been able to hurt them at all, and 40 million dead humans who died, making one single point. They would never surrender. Ambassador Kiran's warning echoed in Jiwoo's mind. They will never let you escape. The Vrelian fleet floated in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, hidden among the ice and rock of the Kuiper Belt. Admiral Dongmin had ordered the ships to maintain radio silence while repairs were made. Around him, the fleet worked to fix damaged vessels and tend to wounded crew members. In the war room, Captain Jiwoo studied the data from their encounter with Earth. Something was bothering her, something she could not quite identify. The humans had fought well, better than expected, but that was not what worried her. It was what was happening on Earth now. Admiral, Jiwoo said, pulling up images on the holographic display. I have been monitoring human activity on their planet. Something strange is happening. Dongmin looked at the images. They showed Earth's surface covered in lights and activity despite the massive destruction. What am I looking at? Every factory on Earth has stopped making normal goods, Jiwoo explained. Every automobile plant, every electronics manufacturer, every industrial facility has converted to military production. They are building weapons, ships, and armor at a rate I have never seen. They are not trying to rebuild their destroyed cities. They are building a war machine. Commander Taeyang scoffed. Let them build. It will take them years to develop technology that can threaten us in deep space. By then, we will have reinforcements from the homeworld. But Jiwoo was not convinced. She had watched the humans fight. She had seen their determination. These were not creatures who would give up after one battle. 3 weeks passed. The Vrelian fleet remained hidden, waiting for damaged ships to complete repairs. On the 22nd day, alarms suddenly blared across the flagship. Contact, a sensor officer shouted. Unknown vessel approaching at high speed. On screen. Dongmin ordered. Ivni reflow. Train Zan. The view screen showed a ship unlike anything the Vrelians had seen before. It was crude, clearly built in haste, with mismatched hull plates and exposed wiring. But it was fast, and it was coming directly toward their position. How did they find us? Taeyang demanded. Unknown, Jiwoo replied, her fingers flying over her console. That ship should not even be capable of leaving Earth's orbit. Yet it has somehow reached the Kuiper Belt. It is a colony ship, a scanner operator reported. Retrofitted with weapons. I am detecting nuclear warheads and some kind of railgun system. One ship, Dongmin said quietly. They sent one ship against our entire fleet? The human vessel opened fire. Railgun slugs tore through space, followed by nuclear missiles. The Vrelian perimeter ships engaged, their superior weapons quickly overwhelming the human craft. The ship called UNS Indomitable broke apart under the assault, its crew of 43 dying in the explosion. But before it died, the Indomitable transmitted everything it had learned. Every scan, every measurement, every piece of data about Vrelian shields, weapons, and ship configurations was sent back to Earth at light speed. They sacrificed themselves just to study us, Jiwoo said softly. They learned from this encounter, even though they knew they would die. Over the following weeks, more human ships appeared. They came in small groups, using tactics the Vrelians had never encountered. Hit and run. Attacks. Suicide charges. Ambushes from behind asteroids. Each engagement lasted only minutes before the humans were destroyed. But each time, they learned something new. Commander Jae-hyun led many of these attacks. He was a human pilot who seemed to have no fear of death. His fighter squadron destroyed 3 Vrelian supply ships before being wiped out. But the next day, another squadron appeared, using tactics that Jae-hyun had transmitted before dying. They are adapting faster than any species I have ever seen, Ji-woo reported to the admiral. Every battle makes them better. They share information instantly across their entire military. When one pilot learns something, they all learn it. It does not matter. Taeyang insisted. We have destroyed 30 human ships in the last month. They cannot sustain these losses, but the humans kept coming. They converted civilian ships into warships. They trained new pilots faster than the Vrelians could kill them. They did not seem to care about losses. Every human who died was simply replaced by another who had learned from their sacrifice. Admiral Dongmin made a decision. We are leaving this system. Prepare the fleet for hyperspace jump. Where will we go? Taeyang asked. Back to Outpost Kerrigan, 40 light-years from here, Dongmin replied. It is a fortress station. We will be safe there while we request reinforcements from the homeworld. Engineer Minji, who had been working on repairing the damaged ships, suddenly spoke up. She was young and rarely offered opinions in command meetings, but her voice was urgent. Admiral, before we jump, I need to check something, she said. What is it? Dongmin asked. During the last battle, a human fighter craft collided with one of our destroyers. The impact was minor, and the human ship was destroyed. But I want to inspect the hull where contact was made. We do not have time for detailed inspections, Taeyang said dismissively. Sir, I insist, Minji said firmly. Dongmin recognized the determination in her voice. 1 hour. Make it quick. Minji took a team in spacesuits to examine the destroyer's hull. What she found made her blood run cold. Attached to the metal, hidden in a small crater made by the collision, was a device. It was simple, primitive even, but effective. A radio transmitter, broadcasting on a wide spectrum of frequencies. Admiral, Minji reported over the radio. The humans have been marking us. Every ship they hit, every collision, every close pass, they have been attaching these devices to our hulls. Tracking devices? Dongmin asked. Yes, sir. And from the signal strength, they have been broadcasting for weeks. The humans know exactly where we are. They have probably known since we first retreated. Captain Ji-woo felt her heart sink. How many ships are affected? Minji checked her readings. All of them, Admiral. Every single ship in our fleet is broadcasting our position. The war room fell silent. The implications were clear. The humans had not been finding them through luck or skill. They had been tracking the fleet since the beginning, following their every movement. Remove the devices immediately, Dongmin ordered. All ships, full hull inspection. Find every tracker and destroy it. The fleet spent the next 6 hours carefully scanning every vessel, removing dozens of tracking devices. Finally, Engineer Minji reported that all transmitters had been found and destroyed. "We are clean, Admiral," she said. "Good," Dongmin replied. "Prepare for hyperspace jump." The Vrelian fleet activated their hyperspace drives and vanished from the Sol system, leaving Earth behind. In the war room, Taeyang looked relieved. "Finally, we have escaped them," he said, but Captain Ji Woo was not so sure. She thought about the humans' determination, their willingness to sacrifice everything for small advantages. They had tracked the fleet for weeks. They had learned the location of Outpost Kerrigan from transmitted data. "Commander," Ji Woo said quietly, "I do not think we have escaped anything. I think the humans let us jump. They wanted us to lead them to our other bases." Taeyang laughed. "You are being paranoid. The humans do not have hyperspace technology. It took us 200 years to develop it. They cannot follow us." Ji Woo looked at the dark screen that had once shown Earth. "I hope you are right," she said. But in her mind, Ambassador Kiran's warning played again. "They will never let you escape." Deep in her hearts, Ji Woo knew the truth. The humans were coming. It was not a matter of if, but when. And when they arrived, the Vrelians would learn that some prey, when cornered, becomes the most dangerous hunter of all. Outpost Kerrigan hung in space like a massive fortress of metal and energy. The station was 3 times the size of Earth's moon, armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Admiral Dongmin felt safe for the first time in months as his battered fleet docked at the station's ports. The outpost commander, a veteran officer named So Ra, greeted them with concern. "Admiral, we heard reports of your encounter with the humans. Command is shocked that primitives caused you such trouble." "They are not as primitive as we believed," Dongmin replied tiredly. "But we are safe now. This station can withstand anything they might throw at us." Captain Ji Woo oversaw the removal of the tracking devices from every ship. Engineer Minji worked day and night, scanning each hull multiple times to ensure no transmitters remained. After 2 weeks of intensive work, Minji finally reported success. "Every ship is clean, Admiral," she said. "I found 3 additional devices we had missed initially. All have been destroyed. The humans cannot track us anymore." Commander Taeyang smiled. "Excellent. Now we can focus on rebuilding our strength." In Munder.cast, Commander Taeyang. "Now we can focus on rebuilding our strength." The Vrelian fleet settled into a routine at Outpost Kerrigan. Damaged ships were repaired. New weapons were installed. The crew tried to forget the desperate battles near Earth and the strange, relentless humans who refused to accept defeat. 6 months passed quietly. Then another month. Then another. Captain Ji Woo began to think that perhaps they had truly escaped. Perhaps the humans had given up the chase. Perhaps their determination had limits after all. She was wrong. On the 203rd day at Outpost Kerrigan, alarms shrieked across the station. The sensor officer's voice came over the intercom, high-pitched with panic. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Unknown signatures. Counting 50 vessels. No, 70. No. More contacts appearing. 80 ships total. Admiral Dongmin rushed to the command center. On the main display, he saw something that should have been impossible. A human fleet, massive and organized, materializing from hyperspace around the station. These were not the crude, retrofitted ships from the Sol system. These were purpose-built warships, sleek and deadly. They bore names like Vengeance, Retribution, Remember Beijing, Remember Moscow. Each ship was covered in weapons, their hulls reinforced with armor clearly designed to counter Vrelian energy beams. How? Dongmin whispered. How did they develop hyperspace technology so fast? They did not, Jiwoo said, studying the scans. They stole it. They must have recovered data from our damaged ships, reverse-engineered our drives, and built their own. They did in 6 months what took us 2 centuries. A communication channel opened. The face of a human woman appeared on screen. She wore a dark military uniform with 5 stars on her collar. Her nameplate read, Admiral Sung-hee, United Nations Space Command. Admiral Dongmin. Sung-hee said calmly. We meet at last. Sung-hee. Sung-hee. We meet at last. This is impossible, Dongmin said. You should not be here. You should not have this technology. You gave it to us when you attacked Earth, Sung-hee replied. You destroyed our cities, killed our families. Then you ran, thinking you were safe. Did you really believe we would forget? Did you think we would forgive? What do you want? Dongmin demanded. Justice, Sung-hee said simply. Surrender now, and you will be treated as prisoners of war. Resist, and we will destroy this station with everyone on it. Commander Taeyang stepped forward. We outnumber you. This station alone has more firepower than your entire fleet. Sung-hee smiled, but it was not a kind expression. Then let us see. The Battle of Kerrigan began with a human missile barrage. Thousands of warheads streaked toward the station, overwhelming its defensive systems. Vrelian ships scrambled to intercept, but the humans had learned their tactics. Fighter craft commanded by pilots like Major Bo-Ra swarmed the Vrelian vessels, targeting engines and weapons systems with precision strikes. Captain Jiwoo coordinated the defense from her post, but she quickly realized they were fighting a different enemy than before. These humans were not desperate survivors making suicide runs. They were trained soldiers executing a carefully planned assault. They had learned from every previous battle, adapted to every Vrelian tactic, and prepared counters for every defense. The battle lasted 4 days. On the first day, the humans destroyed the station's primary weapons. On the second day, they crippled its shields. On the third day, they boarded the station itself, human marines fighting room by room against Vrelian defenders. On the fourth day, Admiral Sung-hee stood in Outpost Kerrigan's command center, accepting its surrender. Admiral Dongmin watched as his crew was taken prisoner. Commander So-ra lay dead, killed, defending the reactor room. 40% of the Vrelian fleet was destroyed, and the rest scattered across the sector. How many more of you are coming? Dongmin asked Sung-hee quietly. As many as it takes, she replied. We have converted our entire civilization to war production. Every resource, every factory, every person is dedicated to finding and neutralizing the threat you represent. We will not stop until every Vrelian who participated in the attack on Earth is held accountable. Dongmin felt something he had not experienced in his long military career. True fear. These humans were not interested in conquest or territory. They wanted something more terrifying. They wanted complete and total elimination of the threat. Let my crew go, Dongmin said. They were following orders. I am the one responsible. Nice try, Sung-hee replied. But we know how military hierarchies work. Everyone involved bears responsibility. Your crew will be imprisoned. Your officers will stand trial, and your empire will learn what it costs to attack humanity. The surviving Vrelian ships fled in all directions, desperate to escape the human hunters. Commander Taeyang took a battle group to the lawless fringe territories, where no government maintained order. Captain Jiwoo led a science division toward the Thessian homeworld, hoping Ambassador Kiran's people would offer sanctuary. Engineer Minji tried to reach Vrelian space in a damaged destroyer, broadcasting warnings to all ships she encountered. Stay away from humans, her message repeated. Do not engage. Run, if you see them. But everywhere the Vrelians fled, humans followed. Admiral Sung-hee had deployed hunter-killer groups across the sector. Small but deadly human squadrons tracked down Vrelian vessels, one by one. They used the hyperspace technology they had stolen, improved it, made it faster and more efficient. Within 2 years, humanity went from a single-planet species to a spacefaring civilization, spreading across dozens of star systems. Captain Jiwoo's ship arrived at the Thessian homeworld, damaged and low on fuel. She requested an audience with Ambassador Kieran, hoping for help. Kieran met her at the landing bay. His four-armed form seemed sadder than when she had last seen him. "Captain Jiwoo," Kieran said gently, "I wish I could help you. Please," Jiwoo said desperately. "The humans are hunting us across the galaxy. They will not stop. We need refuge." "I warned Admiral Dongmin not to attack Earth," Kieran replied. "I told him what would happen. He chose not to listen. Now, you face the consequences. But we are being destroyed, systematically eliminated. This is genocide." "No," Kieran said firmly. "This is justice. You attacked their world. You killed 40 million of their people. You thought you could do so without consequences. Now, you learn that humans never forget and never forgive existential threats. I am sorry, Captain, but the Thessian Concordat will not harbor Vrelian war criminals. The humans have made it clear that any species protecting you will be considered hostile." Jiwoo felt her world collapse. "Where can we go? Jiwoo. Jiwoo. Where can we go? There is nowhere," Kieran said sadly. "That is the point. The humans want you to understand that there is no escape. Perhaps, if your people surrender and face trial, some mercy might be shown. But run, and they will chase you to the end of the universe." Jiwoo returned to her ship, her hearts heavy. Commander Taeyang had made his choice, fleeing to hide in the lawless regions. But Jiwoo saw only one path forward. She would return to the Vrelian homeworld and warn her people. They needed to surrender before humanity found them. Captain Jiwoo's damaged destroyer limped through hyperspace for 3 weeks before reaching Vrelian space. She had expected to see the familiar sight of her homeworld's defense fleet, the proud warships that protected their civilization. Instead, she found herself staring at a human armada. Hundreds of human ships surrounded Vrelia Prime. The planet itself looked surprisingly intact, its cities still standing. But it was clearly under occupation. Human vessels patrolled every orbit, and human fighters circled like predators waiting for prey. "This cannot be," Jiwoo whispered. "They found us. They found our homeworld." A communication channel opened automatically. A human voice spoke in perfect Vrelian. "Unknown vessel. This is the United Nations Space Command. Identify yourself immediately, or be destroyed." "This is Captain Jiwoo of the Vrelian Science Division," she replied, her voice hollow. "Stand by for inspection," the human said. A human warship approached, scanning her vessel thoroughly. After several minutes, the voice returned. "You are cleared to land, Captain. Proceed to landing zone 7. Jiwoo guided her ship through the atmosphere, seeing human military installations scattered across her world's surface. Her people moved through the streets below, but they walked with heads down, defeated. Human soldiers stood at checkpoints, monitoring movement. The proud Vrelian Empire had been conquered. At the landing zone, human marines escorted her to a transport vehicle. They were not cruel or violent, but their presence was humiliating. Jiwoo, once an officer in one of the galaxy's most powerful fleets, was now a prisoner on her own world. The Imperial Palace looked the same from outside. But inside, everything had changed. The Grand Hall where the Emperor once held court now served as a human military headquarters. Maps and tactical displays covered the walls. Human officers moved with purpose, coordinating operations across the Empire. At the center of the hall stood Admiral Sung-hee, the human commander who had taken Outpost Kerrigan. Next to her was General Hyun-soo, the man whose face had appeared on screens during the first contact. And there, seated in chairs that had once held Vrelian officials, were the leaders of Jiwoo's people. Admiral Dongmin was there, his scales dulled by captivity. The emperor himself sat in simple clothes, stripped of his royal garments. Other commanders and officers from the Earth invasion filled the room, all under human guard. Captain Ji Woo, Admiral Sung Hee said, recognizing her from previous encounters. Welcome home. Please, join your fellow officers. Ji Woo walked to stand with her people, her legs feeling weak. 3 weeks, Dongmin said quietly. They found us shortly after we sent our last supply convoy. They followed the ships home. We tried to fight, but... He gestured helplessly at the human forces surrounding them. We are not here to genocide your species, Admiral Sung Hee announced, her voice carrying through the hall. We are not conquerors who wish to enslave you. But you attacked Earth. You killed 40 million humans. You thought you could do so without consequences. Now, you will learn the price of your actions. She activated a holographic display showing a document. This is the Treaty of Seoul. Your emperor and government have already reviewed it. Today, you will sign it. Or we will resume military operations. General Hyun Soo stepped forward, reading from the treaty. Article 1. The Vrelian Empire surrenders unconditionally to the United Nations of Earth. Article 2. All military forces will be disbanded and weapons surrendered. Article 3. All officers and officials involved in the Earth invasion will stand trial for war crimes. Article 4. Reparations will be paid to Earth over the next 100 years. Article 5. Human observers will be stationed throughout Vrelian space to ensure compliance. The terms were devastating. The proud empire would be reduced to a protectorate, its military dissolved, its resources claimed by the species it had tried to conquer. Admiral Dongmin stood, his voice bitter. Why? You defeated us. Why pursue us across the galaxy? Why not simply let us go after the first battle? It was Captain Ji Woo who answered, her voice tired but certain. Because we killed 40 million of their people. Because we tried to commit genocide. Because we showed them we were willing to destroy their entire civilization. They will never stop hunting threats like that. They cannot afford to. Precisely, Admiral Sung Hee said. You could have left when we warned you. You could have retreated after the first battle. But you chose to glass our cities. To murder our civilians. To show us that you would not stop until we were extinct. So we became what we needed to be. We became hunters. We learned your technology, tracked your ships, found your worlds. And we will never let you threaten us again. But we are defeated, the Emperor said, his voice breaking. We pose no threat. Now. Today you pose no threat, General Hyun Soo replied. But what about in 50 years? In 100? We will not risk our children's future on your promises. So we will watch you. We will limit your military. We will ensure that no Vrelian fleet ever threatens Earth again. Admiral Dongmin sat down heavily. You have destroyed us. No, Sung Hee said firmly. You destroyed yourselves. When you attacked Earth, we are simply ensuring you cannot do it again. The treaty was signed that day. The Vrelian Empire became a human protectorate. Its independence gone. Its pride shattered. War crime trials began immediately, with Vrelian officers facing human courts for their actions during the invasion. Admiral Dongmin was sentenced to life imprisonment for ordering the destruction of Earth's cities. Commander Tae Young, captured weeks later in the Fringe Territories, received the same sentence. Hundreds of other officers faced judgment for their roles in the attack, but not all Vrelians were punished. Captain Ji Woo, who had warned against the invasion and protested the civilian murders, was offered a different fate. Admiral Sung Hee met with her privately in the palace gardens. You tried to stop this, Sung Hee said. You urged caution. You protested the atrocities. And I failed, Ji Woo replied. 40 million humans died because I could not convince my superiors to listen. You are not responsible for their choices, Sung Hee said. We are offering you a position. The Vrelian people will need leaders who understand why this happened, who can guide them toward a better future. Work with us. Help your people adapt to the new reality. Jiwoo thought about Ambassador Kiran's warning, which she had heard too late to change anything. She thought about the humans' relentless pursuit across the galaxy. She thought about what her people needed now. I accept, she said. But tell me, Admiral, will you become like us? Will you use your power to conquer others? Sung-hee looked up at Earth's sun, visible in the Vrelian sky through hyperspace relay stations humanity had built. I hope not. We never wanted this war. We never wanted to become hunters across the stars. But we learned a hard lesson. The galaxy respects strength and remembers determination. So, we will maintain both. We will trade with peaceful species. We will share technology with those who wish to cooperate. But any civilization that attacks Earth will face what you faced. Over the following years, humanity transformed into a major galactic power. They used Vrelian technology, combined with their own innovations, to spread across the sector. Other species watched with a mixture of fear and respect. The humans were not cruel conquerors, but they were absolutely unforgiving of existential threats. Ambassador Kiran visited Earth 10 years after the war's end. He met with Admiral Sung-hee, now retired but still influential in human politics. You have changed the galaxy, Kiran said. Species that once thought nothing of attacking weaker civilizations now think twice. Good, Sung-hee replied. Perhaps fewer wars will be fought because of what happened to the Vrelians. Do you have regrets? Kiran asked. Sung-hee thought for a long moment. I regret that 40 million of my people died. I regret that war was necessary. I regret the loss of life on both sides, but I do not regret ensuring that no one will ever attack Earth again. Far across the galaxy, a new species called the Korathi studied the stars. Their war master, a young officer named Tal Kor, presented a plan to invade a promising world called Earth. The resources were valuable, and the humans seemed to have limited defenses, but his intelligence officer stopped him. War Master, there are warnings in the galactic database about this species. What kind of warnings? Talcor asked. The intelligence officer pulled up thousands of entries from dozens of species. All of them said variations of the same thing. Do not attack the humans. They will never let you escape. There were detailed accounts of the Vrelian War. Videos of human hunter-killer groups tracking down fleeing ships. Records of trials and punishments. Stories of a species that pursued their enemies across the galaxy for years, never stopping, never forgiving. War Master Talcor read the reports carefully. Then he looked at the star chart, showing Earth's location. Mark that system as forbidden, he ordered. All Korathi ships are to avoid it. We will find our resources elsewhere. A wise decision, War Master, his intelligence officer said. Talcor nodded, but his eyes remained on Earth's location in the database. A small blue planet, home to a species of terrifying persistence, a world that had taught the galaxy a lesson no one would forget. Some prey, when pushed too far, becomes the most dangerous predator of all, and humanity had proven that once they decided you were a threat, there was nowhere in the universe you could hide.